France have named a squad for the 2025 Autumn Nations Series. Their first game of the competition against South Africa, which is maybe the most anticipated game of the entire competition.
Yes. Thankfully, this guy is not in the squad.
He is not. Nor are quite a number of injured players. So, currently injured for France, right? Antoine Dupont. Have you ever heard of him?
I know him well.
Pretty good player.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Peter Malvaca. Uni Antonio. Francois Crowe. Charles Olivon, who should be back this weekend, so maybe added to the squad down the line. Galthié said. Baptiste Quillot, Yorma Fona, Teo Tesogbe, Gabin Villiers. Like, the list goes on and on and on. It is more good players than there are in Wales.
Yes.
And yet, France have named a squad, and it is crazy good.
Yeah.
For the level of injury, this is them with an injury crisis. We made a video earlier this year on why France have developed more depth than any nation in the world. South Africa do push them very hard for that, but it is an insane level of quality they have.
Yeah. You look at the way that they were criticised in the summer for not bringing some of their stronger players, so-called stronger players, over there, and they pushed the All Blacks twice in that test series and did very well with a less experienced squad. And now we're seeing a lot of these be I want to say fringe players of this team. Some of them are, some of them aren't because of that injury list.
We talked about this in the lead up to that tour, right? That it is a great chance for players who have not had much time starting international rugby to step up ahead of an Autumn Nations series in the Six Nations, in case there is an injury crisis. And that's happened. And now someone like, Deporter, who is a great player, who had bit parts, can now go in, or Gaetan, or someone, at a Sogbe previously, can now step up and be like, yeah, I've got caps, I'm confident, I can step up and run this team when I'm required in the autumn against the Springboks in France's biggest game of the year outside that Six Nations decider in Dublin.
Question. Out of all those players you just named who are injured, are there any of those whose positions you're concerned about before we get to what's good? Are there any you're concerned about? Well, there's one name that I would have a slight concern about.
Okay, so Dupont, Dupont is the best player in the world.
Yep.
By a margin. And yet, no.
I don't think there is a country in the world that have a position with stronger depth than France do at scrum half.
Agreed. Like, you go through the list, right? So the three scrum halves in this squad, and again, insanely strong. Baptiste Janot, Nolan Le Garrec, Maxime Lucu.
Yeah. Three of the best scrum halves in Europe.
Yeah. All of which would start for Wales, Scotland.
Italy.
They'd make the bench for Ireland. They may start for England.
Yeah.
I think they,
probably make the bench for Alex Mitchell.
Two of them at least would start for England, I reckon, which is insane. And then you start going through, Quio is also on that list. He's out injured.
Yeah. Carbagnot's
not in.
Yeah.
Maxime Machinot is still playing.
I was going to say Paul Grau.
Paul Grau's a good player.
He's actually been pretty good for Toulouse this year.
You can keep going and going and going. And you can get down
Saran,
to Baptiste Saran, who's injured as well. Could be back next weekend. So it potentially could be added to the squad down the line.
That would be class.
But you'll be going down to about their 9th choice scrum half before I'm worried.
Yeah,
before I'm like, oh, they're into a bit of trouble here.
So the one position that I'd look at out of those where there's an injury that I'd have a slight worry is Weenie Antonio's out. And there's no Colombe to back him up in here. So tight head is a little bit of a stretched position, I would say.
Tight head and hooker.
Yeah.
So Lemoff has been left out, having had some poor form at the start of the season. That was a form decision. He isn't injured. But Massa and Cremont, who are in their place, both have been playing incredibly well so far this season, but are fairly green, right? So Hooker in Malvaca's absence is not a weak position, but you do
still
lose
got
a
Julien
lot coming off the
Marchand
bench. Like,
can take most of the game. So.
But like the difference in impact of a Barnaby Massa coming off the bench instead of a Peter Malvaca, like that is a loss.
Yes, 100%.
But you're losing number 16 rather than number 2.
Yeah.
Right. And then likewise, Dorian Aldegari will do a great job. Is a very good international player. They've got 4 tight heads in their squad here. 3 of them are not exactly like big established international names.
I question how fit Aldeguerri is as well.
Yeah.
That, is he somebody who can last more than sort of 45 minutes at international level?
Yeah.
He's a very good player and a really solid, stable scrummager and a reliable player.
Yeah.
And I think with no Antonio, he's probably the next most reliable person that you can turn to. But in past, as I said, like, for instance, they've gone for someone like a Georges-Henri Colombe, who is a bit more
Who's
destructive
the
and
biggest man
dynamic.
you've ever seen in your life?
Indeed. Whereas this time, like an Aldeguerri, again, he will provide some stability, but how long can he last, I think is the question. But it's better they find this out now than at the World Cup.
I think tight end and replacement hooker, the two positions I'd look at and go, there's maybe a question mark.
Yeah.
There's a dip in quality.
Other than that, I don't think I would be concerned about any of those players who are missing.
You've got two wingers out injured. That is not a problem at all, right?
Yeah.
PO and BLBRA can both start, obviously, but then you've got quality throughout that squad. Like Gaël Dréan, we talked about from Toulon, who is so good.
I wanted to come on to him.
Yeah.
I think he's probably been my favourite player to watch in the top 14 this season.
Yeah.
Who hasn't been either Mata Nonu or Baptiste Saran. I've enjoyed watching Toulon this season. All right. I've enjoyed watching them. They've been great fun. But Gaël Dréan really deserves this opportunity.
Yeah.
He is, firstly, a great try scorer. That is, he's clearly got just an instinct, a nose for the line with everything he does. Yeah. He always moves forward, and he's like one of those really feisty type wingers. And above all, the thing that really catches the eye about him the most, he's unbelievable in the air. Yeah. He is such a good player on the kick chase. And I think if you're wanting to rotate him in for the odd game in the place of Pinot or BLBRA and develop that as an option, obviously those are two players who really pride themselves on kick chase and getting after long kicks that France like to go for. But again, Toulon kick very differently to how France do. With Paulo Garbisi and Baptiste Saran, they like to play the aerial game, those two. But Dréan is unbelievable on chasing those those contestable kicks, and it might bring an extra area to France's game, especially with someone like Léo Barré, who will probably come in at fullback with Thomas Ramos not in the squad, expecting a baby.
Personal reasons,
for the first at least 1 or 2 weeks of the campaign.
Are you as worried as I am that he'll try and do a backdoor flick for his baby?
Yes, that
he'll
will
be handed
probably
it
happen.
and he'll try and tap it up to himself.
But I'm not worried because it will work because he's Thomas Ramos.
Well,
so
this is it,
fine.
right?
The baby's not in danger.
He'll throw the baby out the window or something. It'll miraculously land in the hands of Antoine Dupont.
Yeah.
And Antoine Dupont will be like, okay, fine. But then it will happen, right? That Ramo will go to put the baby in the crib and suddenly he'll be unbelievably reliable.
Yeah.
Once the baby's going down in the crib, he'll be the best father of all time.
The baby will be qualified as a firefighter by the age of 2.
Once he's putting the baby down on the floor, he's fine. He's great at that.
Yeah, absolutely. But point is, Gaël Dréan, really solid player, great defensively as well. I love the fact he's been selected.
You mentioned Gaël Dréan as well, who was in the squad in the Six Nations, didn't get an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Again, looked him around the Six Nations and were like, this kid's good. This kid's good. And then he's only kicked on this season. He's been great this season.
Yeah.
Also in as another winger, Aaron Grandidier,
yes,
who was part of that Olympics gold medal winning team, was superb for them. From Bromley in London.
Some shit. Yeah.
And then, with French mother,
Nigerian father as well.
Moved over to France just before his 19th birthday, played for Brive, went through the French Sevens pathway, was one of their stars. Dupont turns up, is like, I guess I'm only, fine. Has a wonderful time playing with Dupont. Scores in was it the final? He did score.
I think so, yeah. We unfortunately can't put an Olympic footage in here. No. However, if you want to look up the French Sevens highlights of the Olympic win last year, Aaron Grandidier Onkanang was one of the best players in that. He was other than Dupont, he might have been the star of that.
I think that's fair.
And the fact that he then went straight into 15s thereafter to try and get this French cap is so cool. So I can't wait to see what he's like in this team.
Brive's books as a 21-year-old, I guess he was at the time. And they were kind of like, go off, play sevens, whatever. He wins a gold medal and come back to us. Yeah. And then Poe pay a disproportionate amount for him for a winger who played 4 or 5 games in the top 14.
Yeah.
He then, I don't know how much you've seen from Poe, but he is simultaneously, you can see the spark of the same player when he's playing 15s, but also he is quite a different player.
Yeah.
He is a much tighter and more technical player than I think I expected. Maybe there's more of that kind of English influence, but he is really good in the air. You mentioned about Drouin, but he is a superb player under the high ball, and that hasn't always been France's strong suit.
Yeah.
Say what you like about Penaud and BLBRA, they are 2 of the best wingers in the world. Neither of them that is their strong suit.
Certainly not on contestables.
If there's If there's
kicks for length, they are bang on with
Yeah.
that. But yes, you are
But
right.
like, if there is a weakness in their game, it is you can get at them with contestable kicks. Right?
Again, it's not how they
in
like
particular.
to kick.
Yeah.
They like to kick to advance upfield rather
Exactly.
than to put pressure on
Yeah.
people.
So, look, they're playing South Africa at first.
Yeah.
I don't think they will chuck Grandidier in for a debut
No.
there. But if they chucked him or Drouin in, those are two players with point of difference that is very different to the two starting existing wingers in Beep and Penno.
Can I just take back something I said earlier?
Yeah.
Where I said about the 3 players that I'm most enjoying watching in the top 14 this season. There's one other player that I have to chuck in there, and that is the great man that is Cal Van Gorge,
Yes!
who has got into the squad
Yes!
from Toulouse. Mate, this guy is an utter baller.
This felt inevitable watching his debut, or his first game of the season at least.
Yeah.
That first start, and going, who's this kid?
Overnight success.
Who's this kid with the great hair and the flamboyant step? And he's just like, he's incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah.
He moves in such a satisfying way. He's been brilliant for Toulouse. Well, okay, right. I can't tell you objectively if he has been brilliant. All I can say is I have had the best time watching him. There may be massive flaws in his game that I'm not paying attention to because I'm having too much fun.
Yeah, it's the epiphany we had with Paul Cost like 18 months ago, isn't it? Also, side note, you mentioned the hair there. Him, Ontomac and Cost, greatest hair of any midfield of all time.
Imagine it.
But,
Imagine it. Yeah.
yeah.
With Maxime Lucan making up for it.
Yes. Yeah, but no, unbelievably balanced, really quick, very strong in tackles and tackle busts and all that. Can pass the ball and distribute as well. Not see much of a kicking game to him just yet, but I'd imagine he has that because he plays in that Toulouse back line, so they'll just boot the ball to each other constantly.
He'll play 10 inside a year.
Yeah, of course he will, of course he will. And as you say, there may be defensive frailties to his game that we've not really seen because when he's playing for Toulouse, we are too focused on what they're doing with the ball.
Side note, right, let's talk of Menoncello going to Toulouse. How do you imagine a Menoncello-Gorge midfield combo going?
Fun.
Yeah.
Menoncello's getting put through some holes there.
Like, or he's putting in through some holes.
Yeah.
That's going to be, that sounds like, honestly, Untomac, Gorge, Menoncello as a midfield sounds like the most
One
fun I can
Cruz
get in my
Malia
head.
is scoring a lot of tries on the back of that.
I mean,
that's all I'm saying.
Santiago Chocobares is there as well.
Yeah.
Right? And he's had Alki and Chocobares to learn off. So I imagine that defence I haven't been paying attention to with him seems like
really
it's probably
needed more
solid.
centres, didn't they?
They did.
Thinking
They
about
did. It's a real
Cost and
problem position for them.
Chocobares.
They don't have any depth in their backs.
Yeah.
You know, they've just not got any good backs.
No, they're definitely struggling.
Yeah.
Of course, it's great seeing some of the names who have got back into the squad who weren't there in the summer. So the likes of Mathieu Jalibert, of course, always delighted to see him around in international rugby. Roman Untomac in the same position as him.
Gregory Aldrit.
And of course, one of the players of the Six Nations, Paul Boudon, who was unbelievable all Six Nations long. So exciting.
Oscar Jégu, who has had some very unfortunate happenings off the field.
Yes.
But on the field reminds me of Justin Tipuric, which is the biggest praise I can give to a rugby player. Is even bigger praise than calling Antoine Dupont the greatest player of all time.
Yes.
He just like, I watch him play and I'm like, that is French Justin Tipuric, who unfortunately does questionable things in hotel rooms.
It's great because he plays like a centre but not as an edge forward.
Yeah.
Because he always has played in the middle of the park in the 1-3-2-2 that France tend to play. He's always played usually in a 2. And it's brilliant because that opens up a potential centre combo. When you put him with someone like a Thibaut Flamand, also formerly a back, of course, and like, I don't know, there's such great fun in terms of like him linking up with other players. And also speaking of the off-field stuff, like Ugo Oradu as well, who unfortunately had a brilliant Six Nations.
Also had a brilliant Six Nations, yeah. Jégu also an incredible line-out forward.
Yeah.
And again, you think of South Africa at first, very useful option to have is another line-out forward. Like I would be starting him.
Yeah.
Like I rate Jégu unbelievably highly as a rugby player.
Yeah, especially with no Charles Olivon. He fills that void of a line-out forward brilliantly.
Yeah.
That's
like
same with,
dynamic.
so does Alexandre Fichet, but he's probably a bench
Yeah,
option.
Fichet I think is an interesting one. I like him, but he does have a little whiff of one of the all-time great, like, You're So Club French player. Like,
Kevin Gordon vibes, that's what you're saying.
Alexandre Fichet I rate, but I'm a bit like, he should be one of those players that when he retires with like 800 Claremont caps, you go, how has he only got like 12 caps?
Yeah,
right.
I'll
That is
back
his
that.
vibe. It's like he should have 20 caps. He will get 12 caps.
Destined
And I'm a bit like, what? If he exceeds that, if he overshoots his ceiling, without drastically, and he's still young. He's what, like 24 maybe.
Yeah.
So he's still got a chance to overcome that, but. he's one of those players that, like, I think ties a club together. Like, it's really important. As someone that grew up watching Clermont in the stands, is like an absolute diehard Clermont Auvergne fan.
Yeah.
And from the town, everything. One of those vital players, and I love that he's got in a French squad. But like, I look at someone like Jégu, I look at someone like Anthony Solange, who's back in as well. To add to the list, Boudon, and you're like, there are so many good players here. Cameron Woki looks back to something resembling his best. Back to Bordeaux.
And Woki has the added advantage of playing, anywhere in the back five.
Yeah.
So he plays all of those probably equally well.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant impact player. And Fabien Galthié loves like stuffing a few of these on the bench who can just turn a game. And it's a little bit different how Rossi Erasmus uses and we'll come on to this next week when we do our pre-thing. He uses the bomb squad as a means of replenishing his pack and getting them back up to 100%, whereas Galthié likes his bench to change the game.
Yes.
And Woki is the perfect sort of forward to have on the bench there. Which obviously brings us on as well to the insane level of depth in the second row that they have.
Honestly,
which,
so...
If not for the fact that, again, playing South Africa first, would draw comparisons if I've never seen anything quite like it.
Right. South Africa have more depth at... South Africa at lock is the other contender for, like, French scrum half.
Yes.
Of most depth in any position.
They're probably neck and neck.
Yeah. And yet, the second rows in the French squad are absurd, right? And when you consider it, I mean, they haven't got... There are fewer second row injuries, so that helps them.
True.
Here. But Oradou, Flamand, Guillard, Maxime, Miafu, and Taufa Fanua. Yeah. That is a ridiculous list. They would start for almost any nation in the world other than South Africa.
Yeah.
Like, at least one of those would get in the team, and it could be any of, like, who is saying no to any of those? Yeah. Like, obviously, Jiminy Maxime is less proven at international level than the others, but still a very, very good player.
Yeah.
Still would start for Wales, probably start for Scotland.
Yeah. So any of those would start for most nations in Europe.
Any of those would probably partner Itoje for England.
Yeah.
Any of those would start for Ireland, I think. Would probably sneak into that.
That's high
team
praise.
somewhere.
We're looking at Ollie Chesham and George Martin.
Who are exceptional players.
Yeah.
Who are exceptional. But like, yeah, I think Guillard on form this year. I think Flamand will start ahead of them.
As much as some Welsh fans would maybe say that, like, Dav Jenkins is a better rugby player than Romain Taufa Fanua. Yeah, but he's half his size.
Yeah.
Taufa Fanua is one of the biggest men in the world, and yet he's the second biggest man in that French second row next to Manny Miafu.
Yeah. Who apparently wouldn't start for Australia. So,
no, apparently not.
To that point. But, yeah, their depth in the second row is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I do want to mention fly halves quickly as well.
Yes.
So we have a return of the great Untermack and Jalabert debate with a bonus option to be Team Joris.
Yes. Joris Segon has been brilliant so far in the top 14 this season. Playing at Bayonne, Gareth Anscombe, who they've signed, has barely seen any game time because Segon has been really good. He's a brilliant goal kicker. He's, I think, probably almost level with Thomas Ramos as the best goal kicker in the top 14.
Ramos is
one of the best in the world, right? But honestly, Segon's not that far behind. He's an outstanding goal kicker, and also just as a game manager. He can take drop goals, so it's an option that he loves. He loves like hitting 50-22s and going for long sort of wipers kicks. I just imagine he's the sort of 10 that you hate to play against because you can underestimate him. You go like, oh, he's not that big. Flankers break off early and try and nail him, and then he will just whack a kick that's 10 metres behind your back.
Old school. I feel like there's not enough fly halves like him anymore who are just really reliable, really solid, kick their goals, kick their points, boot the lever off it, can distribute, can play, but like. I feel like there's just not that many players like that come through anymore.
I know what you mean.
And I enjoy seeing him. And I'm a big team of Joris. Look, you're always still Team Roman, aren't you? Right? Yeah. Like, Joris is a little bit the Ringo of this team. But, like...
But I love Jalabert so much. But also that's the part of me that loves watching rugby rather than loves winning rugby games. Like, loves Jalabert a little bit more. Yeah. As much as he's good at both. Like, you want to see him as an entertainer first.
Roman is Paul.
Okay.
And Jalabert is John.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'd have those the other way round, though. No, Roman's George. Roman's George. But he clicks everything together. He's the genius behind it all.
He is, but he's also the front man.
Yeah, but I feel like
calm and composed and a genius.
I don't agree with you. I think Jalabert is the front man, but he's the one who wants to get all the plaudits and wants to kind of go. He wants everyone to think he's the genius.
No,
he's the showman.
I think,
and that's Macca.
I think Jalabert. I mean, look, Joris is Ringo.
Joris is Ringo.
That is
that's
nailed
fine.
on.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'll accept that gladly.
Jalibert and John to me is like perfectly lined up.
Yeah.
Because they're both like temperamental, bit mad, completely different ways. Like Jalibert is like a loose cannon.
Yeah. And John Lennon very much was one of those.
Was like a loose cannon in a very different way.
Yeah.
I think that lines up to me.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, look, we're going to have to compare George Harrison or Paul McCartney to Antoine Hastoy. So I think, can we say that Untermack is both George and Paul at once?
Francois Tronduc is Pete Best. We can definitely organise that. Who's George Martin? Fabien Galthié, I guess.
Fabien
he's George
Galthié,
Martin. Antoine Hastoy is quite hard to fit into this, I can't lie.
Yeah.
Or can we put Ramos into this? As the other optional fly half,
I like that, okay.
As the enigma. Oh, the thing is, he couldn't be less like John Lennon.
It doesn't really work, does it?
Doesn't work.
This doesn't work. It turns out not everyone fits the personalities of the Beatles.
Okay.
Which I did not see coming.
So I guess what the objective we're going to give you in the comments to decide is, do you prefer my theory of Untermack is George and Jalibert is Paul, or your theory?
That Untermack is Paul and Jalibert is John.
Okay, over to you.
Antoine Hastoy is George Harrison.
Antoine Hastoy's not in the Beatles, mate. Paolo Garbisi is Brian Wilson.